and welcome back to the Dreamcast. I am your host, Denise Walsh. I combine science, scripture, and stories that will inspire you to dive deep, break through your own personal glass ceiling, and design a life of your dreams. Do you feel like you've not been able to make headway in achieving your goals? Or did you start the year pumped, ready to move forward on making things happen and simply lost your way? Things don't need to just get better. They actually can be better. In Design Your Dream Life, I'll show you a proven pathway to take you from where you are now to a life filled with joy, wholeness, success, and fulfillment. I'll give you the keys to not just developing a plan, but taking massive empowered action to make your dreams a reality. Turn roadblocks into stepping stones and leverage the power of gratitude and forgiveness. Let's face it, taking massive empowered action and making your dreams a reality isn't always easy. So I'll be there with you every step of the way. Visit dreamlifetoolkit.com to purchase your copy of Design Your Dream Life, obtain resources, and join our free community. Again, that's dreamlifetoolkit.com. Big welcome back to the Dreamcast. Ooh, we are in for a treat today, my friends, because we're honestly learning about something I don't know much about, yet I've been hearing about it a bit more, and my guess is you have too. And so today we are going to do a deep dive into breast implant illness. Our next guest is the founder of Size Happy, a movement focused on helping women on their journey to self-love, heal from and rebel against the false standards that society inflicts on them, and instead embrace their own unique beauty. After suffering from breast implant illness, she went through explant surgery and experienced nearly complete healing from the multitude of symptoms and side effects of having breast implants. And she's now recognized as an expert in the breast implant illness community. After helping other women reclaim their health and happiness through education on her blog at sizehappy.net and through her Facebook group, Breast Implant Illness Rejuvenation and Education with Christina. She was originally a certified personal trainer and has experience training and coaching thousands of women who struggle with their self-image. Health and fitness remain a core passion of hers, and she can be found in the gym on most mornings. She also loves traveling the country by RV with her husband, son, and 2 kitties. So big Dreamcast welcome to Christina Roulund-Dennis.
Yay! Hey.
All right. Breast implant illness. Try to say that 5 times
fast. It's a tongue twister.
But oh my goodness, this is something I've heard a little bit about, but honestly, I don't know much about it. So can you tell everybody what is breast implant illness?
Yeah, so breast implant illness is basically, there's a bunch of symptoms involved with this, and most of them mimic autoimmune symptoms. So I actually wrote down a list. This is kind of like the short list of symptoms. So I'm going to go through them here, and it might take me a minute, but these are the most common symptoms for any of you out there right now who have breast implants, who are young and active and fit, and who are having all of these symptoms, and you're not quite sure exactly why you're feeling this way or where these symptoms are coming from. So we have brain fog, fatigue, insomnia, joint pain, blurry vision, inflammation, which makes it hard to lose weight no matter what you do, no matter how many hours you spend in the gym, no matter how good you eat, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, suicidal thoughts. And women with breast implants are actually at a higher risk of suicide, we found out. There's been studies on it. Hair loss and hair thinning, cold extremities, gasping for air, heart palpitations, night sweats, skin rashes, swollen lymph nodes, tingling and numbness in your arms and legs, vertigo, which is you just feel dizzy and you're going to fall over, dehydration, slow muscle recovery, food intolerances, headaches, dizziness, miscarriages. So women with breast implants are also at a higher risk for having miscarriages. And then there's the breast pain and tenderness and swelling and hardness that's also associated with this. And so, a lot of women are well, that's just a lot of symptoms, and I don't have breast implants and I have all of those symptoms. And I can totally understand where they're coming from. But right now I have 5,000 members inside of my Facebook group. And I feel like it's safe for me to say that the vast majority of them have at least 30 of these symptoms all at once. Some women have them all at the same time. Some women might have them for like a couple of weeks and then they go away and then they come back. Some women might have 10 symptoms show up now, then they go away, and then another, 10 symptoms come up later. And, we still don't know exactly what causes this, but what we are finding out is that, when you implant two toxic foreign objects in your body, it's just kind of basic human physiology that your body doesn't recognize those things. And so it's going to attack those implants, and it's going to weaken and bog down your immune system, leaving you more susceptible to illnesses and things like that. Breast implant illness really it's something fairly new, but it's not, so to say. It was called silicone illness. It's been called Asia. It's been called all of these different things over the decades. And right now that we have social media and everybody's sharing things, we often just hear breast implant illness. So, that is it in a nutshell. And
Wow.
I had quite a few of these symptoms for years. And like so many other women, I was young. I was, I think, 31 when all of these started. And I was very fit. I was a personal trainer. I was a health coach. I was doing all the right things. But then all of a sudden, it seemed like my body was literally falling apart overnight. And I was going to the doctors. I was getting prescribed antibiotics, antivirals, getting the mammogram, getting the ultrasound, doing all the supplements, doing all of the things. And maybe they worked for a little bit, but they didn't work long term. And, we've heard everything from, I can't find anything wrong with you. It's all in your head. Your labs look normal. Maybe go see this doctor. Here's some anxiety medicine, take this, do that. So I speak for the hundreds of thousands of women who are going through this right now and going through it possibly alone, and who are very scared and they're feeling uncertain. They're very worried, obviously.
How long were you experiencing the symptoms before you really figured out what the core of it was?
So I got my breast implants in 2006. I was 23, almost 24. For the first 5 years that I had them, I had no issues whatsoever, no pains. Like, they looked great. They felt fine. I've had energy. I was very young, and I was also at that point getting my personal trainer certification. So I was like living a very healthy lifestyle. And I think that's kind of what helped me initially. But then in 2011, so this is 5 years after, I had my son. And after I had my son, I kind of like the brain fog set in and the fatigue set in, but I blamed it on just having a baby. I'm hormonal. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but it never went away, and it kept getting worse. And then in 2014, so we're going on, 8 years after implants? So in 2014 is when things really started to happen for me. I started to get swollen lymph node in my armpit, and then really, really bad anxiety, depression. My hair started to fall out a lot more in the shower. Hip joint pain, my eyes were blurry. I was having ringing in my ear. And then the last symptom that I experienced started in 2017, and that was the gasping for air, which is very common also. And I didn't find out about breast implant illness until 2017. So as soon as I heard about it, it just literally all made sense to me, because from 2014 until 2017, I was just a mess. I was like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was a mess. I literally felt like I was dying. I felt like I had this rare thing that no doctor could figure out. And, I'm going crazy doing Dr. Google on the internet, trying to figure out what could this symptom mean, and what could that mean, and why is this happening? And so it took me, to answer your question, it took me about 10 years, about eight years, I guess, to figure out about breast implant illness. But even after I figured out about breast implant illness and discovered it, it took me about a year to actually explant, just because life kind of got in the way and stuff like that. So I explanted in 2018, the end of 2018.
Did you go back to your original doctor to take?
I did not.
Okay.
I didn't. I could have, because he's local, but I had one of the top explant surgeons in my area. So I was actually very lucky and very fortunate to have them in my area. So I just went with them. I consulted with them and just went with them. I didn't really, a lot of women like to have a different consult, which I can totally Like, I understand that, you want to feel out the surgeon who's going to be working on you and seeing your breasts and, helping you along that way. But for me, it was just like, this is the surgeon I'm going with. I set up my consult, got my surgery date going, and the rest is history.
I was wondering if doctors who put them in also take them out, or do they know much about breast implant illness these days?
So doctors that put them in do still take them out. There are still lots of explant quote unquote explant surgeons out there who still put breast implants in. And then there are like a very few surgeons who just see that influx of women coming to them because they're potentially sick from their breast implants. And so they're seeing that influx of explant patients, and they're listening to the stories, and they're like, you know what, just, it doesn't feel right to hear all these women's cries and to still kind of put in these implants. So I do know of maybe like a handful of surgeons who have completely stopped putting in implants, for whatever reason. Maybe it's a moral reason, a moral obligation, or whatever it is. But most surgeons that do put the implants in, they will take them out as well.
Is there a specific type of implant that is most troublesome?
So textured implants, from what I've read, from just listening to the women's stories in my group, seem to be the most troublesome. July 24th, 2019, Allergan actually recalled a textured implant that they manufacture. It's the BioCell. They recalled the implants and the tissue expanders. They recalled that because they were seeing a lot of women who were having kind of like BIA ALCL symptoms, which is breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma. It's a type of cancer that you can get only directly from your breast implant, and it's a cancer of the immune system. It's not actually a breast cancer. So they were seeing kind of a link between textured implants and this type of cancer in patients, and they just decided in July of 2019 to go ahead and completely recall that style of breast implants. But even with that being said, there are tons of women out there, and I can really only speak for my group, but there are tons of women out there who also have saline implants who are very, very sick as well. And something about saline implants is, one, we're told that they're safer because they're saline, they're just salt water, right? But the thing is that in the saline implants, you still have that silicone shell that is made up of all those toxins and carcinogens and heavy metals. So yes, what's inside might be saline, but what's outside is no different than the silicone gel filled implants. And I've also seen plenty of saline implants where they've had faulty valves. So when the implant comes out, there's like mold and fungus and bacteria and like all these black things floating in the saline implant. So there really is no such thing as a safer implant. They're all toxic, and they're all going to send off an immune response in your body once you put them in, but the most troublesome ones that I have seen the stories of were regarding the textured style implants and like the gummy bears and stuff like that.
Interesting. So tell me about life after taking them out.
And life after explant is amazing. Oh, it's just amazing. So all of my symptoms are gone, except I'm still getting tenderness under my right armpit, which always comes right before my period, and then it leaves a couple days after my period. So what we have found out is it's most likely fibrocystic, like a fibrocystic breast. It's responding to like hormones. So I'm still having like a little bit of hormone issues, but other than that, I've stopped losing hair in the shower, like massive amounts of hair. I've stopped that. I have so much energy that what I've done in the last 16 months since explanting, I've done more in the last 16 months than I have the 10 years that I've had the implants, as far as creating things and like having the energy to do those things. Don't have any more brain fog. My hip joint pain has been completely gone since the day of my surgery. And I used to wake up every single day with a sore hip joint, to where I had to like kind of warm up my hip every morning and like move around. I've had zero hip joint pain since my surgery. I still experience a little gasping for air every so often, but not as frequently as I used to. My eyes are a lot better. I can just basically say like all my symptoms are gone except two, which are very minor, and I'll take it.
Well, goodness, I feel like when you don't feel good, you're in pain, physical pain, you're lethargic, you can't really focus, the depression and anxiety. it's hard to do anything when you don't feel good because not feeling good becomes all consuming.
Yeah.
And when you don't know why you feel that way and the doctors
Mhm.
can't tell you, then that increases your anxiety even more.
Yes. You're spot
And it
on.
just starts to compound on top of each other. So I
Mm.
love that you now are really spreading the word about this because, like I mentioned, I've like heard of it, but not really. It's not really something people talk
Yeah.
about or know about. And so they could be out there suffering, but not
Yeah.
knowing why. So 16 months ago, you got your explant surgery. You basically feel better overnight, which is crazy. Your body's starting to heal itself from the inside out. What happened where you said, okay, I can't just keep this knowledge to myself. I really want to broadcast this to the world and let people know what's happening.
Yeah. So it was just, I couldn't sit back and not say anything. After me going through what I went through, after hearing all of the other stories of women who have the same story as me, I couldn't just say, okay, cool. I had my explant. I feel better. Now let me just go back to coaching. I really needed to just step in and raise my voice and do whatever I was capable of doing to, one, help women find out like what this could possibly be, because a lot of them are just going to doctors and specialists who are either giving them a diagnosis or just saying, I don't know what's wrong with you. And breast implant illness isn't only like a physical thing, it's very, very much so an emotional thing. It takes an emotional toll on you and on your relationships, especially. And I just have like an educational, like teacher heart. And I love teaching women things. And I just felt like, you know what? I have my blog. I'm just going to start writing about it. I'm just going to start sharing my story. And I started to do that. And more women were just coming to me saying, oh my gosh, I could have this. Your story sounds like mine. And then I hear they get their explant like 6 months later and they all feel better. So for me, it was really just not sitting back and allowing this to happen to other women and to future generations and to educating others. And with that, just the connection of the women, the support, the community, it just all felt right.
Yeah, when you go through your own transformation, it's hard to sit back and let other people, quote unquote, suffer. It's like you
Yeah.
have to tell them what you know.
Yeah.
But I wonder too about the identity of you getting the breast implants, but then taking them out.
Mm-hmm.
How did that impact your self-esteem, the way you felt about yourself, or in your clothes, or you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's different now.
Yeah. I was honestly ready to get them out of me. I didn't care if I knew I was going to be smaller. I mean, that's obvious, but I didn't care if I was going to be flat. I was literally sick and tired of feeling like crap, like having no motivation, just being tired all day, doing nothing, like half showing up in my life and for my husband and for my son. I was just tired of taking a backseat to my life. And I knew in my heart and in my gut and within my intuition that my breast implants were the reason for why I was feeling this way, because I'm a healthy person. I was doing all the things right. So for me, it was a very easy decision, and I was okay with how I was going to look afterwards, and I was ready. And with that comes a lot of just self pep talk, like, girl, your breasts don't define you. Like, they have nothing to do with your happiness or your confidence, which is what I teach with Size Happy. Is just, I didn't attach my worth, my confidence, how I showed up in the world, any of that to how my breast size might be after explant. I was just at the point where I was like, okay, what's most important to you? Your health, your relationship, like your life, all of that, or like the size of your breasts, right? And like not feeling well. And for me, that was a very easy decision. I was like, I'm ready to get on with my life, and I'm going to have small boobs. And honey, I hope you're ready for that. And he was supportive of me and my decision from day one, when I was first like, hey, honey, so I think my breast implants might be the reason that I'm sick. Like, all these other women are going through this. And he's a very skeptical person to begin with. So he's like, okay, and I just had him read some stories, and he's like, yeah, that actually could be why this is. And then when I was like, you know what, I'm going to explant, he was like, I support you. Do whatever you feel like you need to do for your body and your health, and he was totally on board and supported this whole time. And I'm just the type of person also, when things feel kind of awkward and uncomfortable, I try to be silly. So I'm like, honey, like, look at these, they're small and you have bigger boobs than me now. And, I just like try to be funny because like at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit there and dwell about something you have no control over? Or are you just going to like be lighthearted and it is what it is, but I feel amazing. So that's what's most important. But then there are some women out there whose identity is very attached to the size of their breasts and their breast implants. They love the way that their breasts are still looking, although they feel like crap every day. And it is a harder adjustment for them. And so for me, it's just always bombarding them with that motivation of, look, like your breast size, it doesn't matter. That's what society and like social media is telling you is pretty and attractive and all of that. And it's like so wrong. It's so wrong because your body is beautiful. God made you like that way. And I'm not like, you should just embrace it and you should just, but I'm just like, at the end of the day, health is what matters. And, your breast size and the shape of them and all that, it is what it is. It has nothing to do with, the confidence or how you show up in this world or your happiness or anything like that. It's all that programming and brainwashing that we've received growing up in our teenage years and our 20s, what we see on TV, there's MTV, there's Baywatch, there's all of that stuff. And we're programmed to think that that's beauty, that's womanly, that's what's going to get me the guy, land me the job, whatever it may be. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, for me, it was easy. But I know for a lot of women, it's very, very hard, especially when they don't have the support at home from their husband, who I've heard it time and time again. But, their husband who's either just skeptical or their husband who's quote unquote like a boob guy. And he doesn't want his woman to part with her breast, and, that's a whole nother topic, but it's really hard when you don't have that support and you attach your identity to the size of your breasts.
So at sizehappy.net in your community, you are helping people, not only educating them on what breast implant illness is, but also on how to live your life outside of it. And so you're helping them shift their identity to one of knowing who they are and knowing what their worth is. What are some things that you guys talk about in your community to help grow the sense of self and that self-worth?
So a lot of what we talk about really is just that old programming, because we're bombarded on social media with like perfect bodies. We're bombarded, on commercials with beauty, makeup commercials, women having to basically change who they are to look a certain part, if that makes sense. So it's like, hey, wear this. And then you'll be seen as confident, or, do this to your body and then you'll be enough, or whatever it is. So it's really just getting back in tune with like who you are and like how you were as a little girl. Like we didn't care about any of this stuff when we were little. It's just, when you're growing up, maybe you had some kind of remarks about your body or your breasts, or people called you fat, or you're a beanpole. And it's like other people's projections and opinions of you that you've allowed, you've really allowed to just penetrate who you are. And you're being influenced by all these other things when, I'm telling them, okay, let's push back everybody else's opinions, like the world's perspective of beauty. And you, like, there's nobody in this world like you. Nobody looks like you. Nobody shows up like you. Nobody has a body like you. And like your flaws, they're not actually flaws. They're like what make you you. And I'm always saying, it's not you that's flawed. It's the beauty industry that's flawed. It's like social media that's flawed. So it's really just a lot of undoing that programming that society and magazine covers and commercials and stuff place upon us, like that pressure to always look pretty and to be put together. I'm just seeing more of a trend now, which is beautiful, of women embracing who they are, like not having to follow trends and follow rules, which I don't do rules. I don't do trends. I like repel them. Like, no, I will be myself. You will like it.
Well, and awareness is key. Once you really see that we were influenced, we can choose not to be. In fact, my son is in 3rd grade, and he came home with some papers a couple weeks ago, and it was called something like, I don't know the exact words, I want to say like conscious consumers or something about consuming, being aware. And they had a regular picture and a photoshopped picture. and he had to circle the differences. And they talk about how in social media, on TV, and in commercials, on print magazines, that things can be altered. And I didn't know that when I was a kid. So I thought that this beautiful spray tan and this six pack and this long blonde hair was all real. And I love that they're starting to really teach some of this content in schools, so even children can hopefully be raised with a little bit more awareness and a little bit less of that pressure, even though I know social media really kind of pours.
Yeah, because when you think about it, like when you go to a mall or when you're like at a fair, if you're at like a conference, if you're at like a big event, you don't really see the woman that looks like the front covers walking around. Like, it's not common. If you look around, like, we just have quote unquote normal bodies, right? Like, I don't know. It's just, these companies and magazines are just setting the standard, or trying to set the standard so high about like, this is what beauty looks like or a woman looks like. And for some of us, it's not attainable. Like, no matter what you do, no matter how much weight you lose or, you know, how much you try to alter your body, like, you'll never really achieve that level of expectation. And so that's why women just go to extremes to change their self, because they're trying to become that woman that they're seeing, who's getting all the attention, who's getting all the followers, who's, you know, has all the things and seems so happy. And it's just dangerous, and it's unrealistic, and it's unattainable. It's unacceptable, quite frankly.
Yeah, I did a bodybuilding competition a few years ago, and by the end of it, I felt like junk. You know, I'm depleted. I'm angry. I'm like snappy at people. I'm foggy. I don't have brain space. I just remember watching Donut Wars during cardio because I couldn't even like think about anything deeper.
Oh my
also,
God.
I really wanted donuts.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, if this is what it takes to look like this, I don't know if it's worth it. And I think so many times we think we need to do something to look a certain way when really we're not going to feel good when we do that. And so it's asking yourself, what's more important, the way that I look or the way that I feel?
Yeah, absolutely. And two things that I thought of when you were saying that is, one, like, I've done fitness competitions too, and it's so temporary for what you do for 3-4 months to achieve that body. And then literally within 2-3 days, you've gained the inflammation back, you've gained the water weight back, and you have that body. I mean, I'll just speak for myself. You have that body dysmorphia of like, oh, I don't have the six pack anymore. You know, I can't see my muscles anymore. And so you're just constantly body focused. And it's in a very unhealthy way. Like you said, you're just depleted, you're irritable, you know, you're carb depleted, you're calorie depleted, your cardio out of your brains. And it truly is not healthy. It's just not healthy. It's not sustainable. But with that being said, I think it's like a great goal to have, especially if you're somebody who's like a little interested in competing. I think it's great to maybe do it once just to say you did it and see the commitment level that's involved with that. But, you know, I truly don't feel like it's something you want to do like 4 times a year. God, and I know there are competitors out there that do that. And it's just like, man, how do you do that? I couldn't. And then another thing you said is like how you feel. So that's also a big part of what I teach with Slice Happy is like everything. So everything, how you feel. When you eat something, how do you feel? Does that food make you feel guilty? Does it make you feel heavy? Does it give you gas? Or does it make you feel like energetic? Does it like give you life? Does it not have any guilt attached to it? You know, and that goes with people. How do people make you feel? How do your environments make you feel? When you dress a certain, like, everything is really, how does it make me feel? And with anything in life, it's like, it's basically like our intuition and our soul telling us what's in alignment with us. So like, if something is making us feel ugly, fat, less than, unconfident, you know, self-conscious, if it's just kind of shrinking us, you might want to do something else or remove yourself from that person or that environment, whatever it may be. But if you're in an environment or you're around people or you're eating things and you just feel alive, you feel confident, happy, like unstoppable, you know, it's really getting in tune with the things that make you happy. As like simple and cliche as that sounds, and maybe you've heard it a million times scrolling through Instagram, like, do all the things that make you happy. It's just so true, because I mean, for me, and I'm sure for you, like, happiness is so important to me. And if I feel drained and depleted, and if somebody's just being negative and my energy's down and I'm feeling bad about myself, it's like, at what point do you either remove yourself from that situation, or if you can't completely remove yourself, do the best that you can to try to minimize the amount of time that you're with that person or you're in that environment, right? Like, for instance, if it's at work, you obviously can't skip work. You're going to have to be in that environment. So it's really becoming aware of like, oh, this environment and these people are really draining me. I'm always stressed when I get home. Can I really do anything about this? No. Okay, so what do I need to do on my end to not let those exterior things and those people affect my happiness? And it's coming up with those realistic things, in order for you to do that, because oftentimes we can't control what other people do. We can't control what other people say, but we can control like our side of things. So for me, I'm always telling women, go inside your bubble, literally zip it up from the inside, and be like, no matter what is said to me at this family dinner on Thanksgiving, no matter, the snarky remarks or the energy, I'm not going to allow it to like get to me anymore. I'm not going to allow it. Like, right. Yeah, they're probably going to continue to be their little negative self, but I'm going to respond differently and I'm going to show up for myself differently. And when you start doing that, when you start setting that boundary and those different standards, those people will catch on and they'll be like, whoa, like she's not taking it anymore. It's not affecting her anymore. And so hopefully they would back off, but it's really focusing in on yourself. What can you do about certain situations and people and things like that?
Well, and even if you think about people like to gossip and be negative and be grouchy and complaining with people who are doing it back, you know? Yeah. So if you are not responding and engaging in that conversation, it won't last long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, goodness. So if there's anybody out there who is feeling tired and brain fog and, and their hips are hurting or their hair is falling out, what should they do?
So the first thing I would do is say research breast implant illness. Just research it on your own. I would definitely recommend you to come into my Facebook group, which is Breast Implant Illness, Rejuvenation, and Education with Christina. This is a place where we support you. We don't tell you what to do. I have women that come into my group who don't even have breast implants, but they're wanting to just hear our stories and they're wanting to get educated and they're wanting to see like what could possibly happen to them. There are some women who didn't have breast implants who came into the group and were like, I'm still going to get them. And I make it very clear, I support you. Like I support you if should down the road you start feeling bad, come back. Like, let's see what we can do. And then I have, obviously, most of my women are sick from their breast implants. So they're coming to my group just to get that education. I help a lot with pre-op preparation. I help a lot with post-op healing. I talk a ton about the emotional aspect to all of this. So it's just a lot of education, and it's a very positive, supportive, loving community. So go to Breast Implant Illness, Rejuvenation, and Education with Christina. If you're not on Facebook, I have a lot of information on sizehappy.net about, breast implant illness symptoms, chemicals that are on all breast implants, again, pre-op preparation stuff, post-op healing stuff, self-love. And then I am on Instagram too. So it's sizehappy_ with Christina. I just talk a lot about self-love there and body image and, giving society the middle finger and, owning your power and all of that stuff. But specifically for breast implant illness stuff, come to my community, go to my website, and pretty much everything that you will want to know or need to know will be there.
Awesome. You guys, all of the links will be in the show notes below. Christina, I've got 2 last questions for you because I love when people are sparked, and when they've got this fire in their belly and then they actually take action on it, because it's very easy to feel inspired and to feel excited about something and then think, well, that's too hard. That's too big. I'm not sure, and shrink back, right? Yeah. So I'd love to hear, what are some books you are reading, or what are some things you do to learn and grow and keep yourself motivated?
So there's a book I'm reading right now. It's called Heal. It's by Kelly Noonan, and it is amazing. It's just all about healing in the aspect of emotions mostly, and how when you have a toxic mind, it makes it harder for your body to heal. So for me, I love books because I love being able to highlight. I love podcasts. Those are really the 2 ways for me to where I learn my things and stay inspired and stay up to date on relevant things.
Awesome. So what is one thing you do every day that you couldn't live without?
Ooh, the gym. Yeah, that was easy. But I don't do it every day. I do it like 4 times a week. But man, one thing I couldn't live without, there's like a couple things, but one thing, oh man, I couldn't live without, this is going to sound really sappy, but I couldn't live without me, my husband, and my son. Like, we cuddle every night before we go to bed. So I couldn't live without that. That's like one of my most precious times of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So why going to the gym?
It's just, I've been going to the gym since I was like 14. I'm 37 now. It's something that I just feel good. I feel like I've done something for myself that day. I just love the feeling of lifting weights and like that uncomfortableness. That's really what it is for me. It's just kind of like a decompressor, a de-stressor.
Awesome. Snuggling and gym time.
Yep.
Sounds, I love that. And when you know what like you mentioned, you know what brings you joy, when you know what makes you happy, when you know kind of fills you up, you can put those things on your calendar and be intentional about doing them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Christina, for sharing with us your wisdom, your experience, and your story, and not just keeping your story to yourself, but allowing others to be on this journey with you, because I know there's other people out there that are going to hear this message, and you may have just changed their life too. So thank you so much. And you guys, all of the links to the Facebook group and the website will be below. Have an amazing day.
Bye.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I want to hear your aha moment from today's amazing episode. If you could leave a review at whatever podcast player you choose to listen from, Apple Podcast, Castbox, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening from, leave a review and share with us your favorite part of today's episode. Thanks for hanging out, and remember to dream big.